Entendendo o passado, você entende as narrativas atuais. O Departamento de Educação americana poderá impor cotas limitando o número de homens na ciência no ano de 2013. A Casa Branca, no mandato na época pelo ex-presidente Obama, prometeu que novas diretrizes serão emitidas para as universidades que recebem subsídio do governo, usando a regra do Título 9, que é uma lei onde proíbe discriminação em programas ou atividades educacionais, onde será aplicado nas áreas de ciência, tecnologia, engenharia e matemática. Mas, ao mesmo tempo, essas diretrizes são preconceituosas contra homens por limitar o sexo masculino e a meritocracia, no qual, nos dias de hoje, é um dos vários fatores que exista mais mulheres na faculdade do que homens nos Estados Unidos. Uma matéria feita para o site Newsweek, o ex-presidente Obama comemorou na época por haver 25% menos homens se formando na faculdade. Para Obama, a disparidade de gênero só é ruim quando desfavorece as mulheres, ou seja, a igualdade é quando homens perdem para as mulheres. Christina Hoff Sommers escreveu para o Washington Post sobre essa guerra liberal contra a ciência, no qual ela afirma que foi uma promessa do Obama em sua candidatura para a presidência, para grupos feministas em outubro de 2008. Christina Hoff viu o movimento previsível do Obama para limitar artificialmente a participação masculina em aulas de matemática e ciências para alcançar a proporcionalidade de gênero. E as consequências disso pode ser uma redução substancial no número de cientistas se formando em faculdades e universidades americanas. Para a juíza Sandra Day O'Connor, é irrealista a Lei Título 9, colocar mulheres e minorias em cada campo ou atividade, uma proporção igualitária sendo representada em sua população local. Mas o regulamento do Título 9 no atletismo obriga essa representação proporcional e sabotar homens. Os tribunais têm rejeitado ações judiciais de equipes masculinas que foram cortadas pelas suas faculdades por não conseguir alcançar a cota. O fato de menos mulheres se formarem em ciências e engenharia é resultado das suas escolhas pessoais, e não da discriminação, observa o pesquisador John Rosenberg. E a psicóloga clínica Susan Pinker diz que tem casos onde as mulheres em carreiras bem-sucedidas no campo da ciência e engenharia abandonaram essas áreas para trabalhar com arquitetura, direito e educação, porque esses empregos envolvem mais interação social, e pesquisas que remontam a 100 anos nos mostram que as mulheres são mais propensas em assuntos orgânicos, pessoas, plantas e animais. Esse foi o resumo da matéria. Para ler o conteúdo na íntegra, os links estão disponíveis na descrição. E agora fiquem com um bônus de coletâneas de vídeo e prints.
Outro dia, um aluno meu aqui na Escola Milênio em São Paulo, ele contou que ele estudou numa universidade nos Estados Unidos, onde eles deram para todos os alunos homens uma instrução de como que pode sair com uma mulher sem ser processado. E lá tem umas instruções, o primeiro passo, por exemplo, dentro do carro, tem que primeiro perguntar para a mulher: posso tocar na sua mão? E depois, posso tocar no seu cabelo? Então, passo por passo, tem que ver se a mulher realmente está afim ou não, senão pode ser processado. E eu acho que isso mostra muito essa patologia da mulher, de que ela é sempre vítima, de que o homem sempre aproveita dela, que ela é uma coitada, um anjo, que nunca quer o mal, que sempre é o homem que é mal intencionado. E essa ideia é muito interessante, que a mulher não pode ser criticada. E pelas descobertas do Dr. Norberto Keppe, a gente sabe que a pessoa que se vê como muito perfeito é a pessoa mais desequilibrada.
But where do you think this leaves young men today in education?
Alienated. Okay, obviously it's a terrible disturbance from, in sexual relations. This is a horrible thing that's happening to romantic relationships in this culture.
It's all policed and monitored. It looks to me as though the way society used to police and monitor the lives of gay people, now it's moved to heterosexual males. They're under constant criticism, surveillance, and they're their normal sexuality has been pathologized. And so the fact that men and boys get in terrible trouble, my friend was in a fraternity at, I won't say what school, but they sent out little, invitations that had a silhouette of a sexy woman. They were practically, thrown out of school because they liked an image of an attractive, beautiful woman. So this is, for males now, heterosexual males is treated as some kind of, behavior that has to be corrected, and they should be punished for. It's quite true. And right now, the fashion with the identity politics is intersectionality. This is all the rage. And the premise of this theory, it's the idea that all the oppressions intersect with one another and form this matrix of oppression. And so young people in a typical gender studies class now learn that they inhabit a society that is this matrix of oppression, and depending on your identity, you might be advantaged, so you have unearned privilege, or you might be burdened because of your race, or maybe you have disability, or your gender, or your preference, and on and on. But underneath it all is this assumption that the United States is a white supremacist, imperialist, capitalist, patriarchal, oppressive society. And in order to liberate ourselves, we have to, well, I don't even know what they want to do, because it's all, maybe just blame one another and have little feuds on social media and on campus. And the fact that students are open to that view, that the society that they inhabit, that allows them to go to this beautiful university, is a matrix of misery.
Right.
But they've been taught that now through maybe as early as junior high school. They start getting this very distorted view of the world. So we have to hope it changes. Right, yes, well, there we are.
Yep.
So, and then we have on campus this new regime of protecting students from microaggressions and trigger warnings and safe spaces. Yeah. Where did this come about? I mean, how did this come about? And even at University of Santa Cruz, very enterprising professor of psychology has come up with a microaggression app, a mobile app. And so you can immediately report if you overhear someone making an off-color joke or something. It's almost all young women who have volunteered to use the app, because probably not that many guys left at University of Santa Cruz. Right. And they're policing one another. Yeah. It's an anonymous surveillance system that would have made the Stasi envious. Yeah. And so you can now be reported. Oh, it's overheard. You made, and to see this, and I think Santa Cruz. Think about what that school. When I was in high school, that was where you went. The free spirits, the stoners. Right. I think the stoners are still there. But just you went there to experiment, history of consciousness, and now it has devolved into this sort of this very, very controlled, and I don't want to say Stalinist, but. Yes, Stalinist.
It is very codified. Like I just last week saw with the Penn State codification, of surveillance and how to report. And every category of possible offense is listed with the numbers to call. And they're encouraging people to report on fellow students, report on faculty, report on staff. This is madness. This has nothing whatever to do with intellectual development or education.
This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org, and I am here with Charlotte Isby, who's an American whistleblower who worked for the U.S. Department of Education. Now, Charlotte, can you tell us specifically what was your position and what did you uncover in the U.S. Department of Education?
Well, my position was very, very important, although I did not have the credentials for it. The hand of God put me into the Office of Educational Research and Improvement as Senior Policy Advisor.
And what year was this?
In 1981.
So this was Reagan?
Under Reagan. Now, I just happened to get plopped into that slot that ordinarily in the past would have been held by the former president of Harvard or Stanford or Columbia, whatever. And so I had access to all the old plans and the new, all of which were geared towards limited learning for lifelong labor, basically, which is what we're looking at today through school choice, tax-funded school choice. That's putting it in a nutshell. It's been the plan ever since the late 1890s.
So it's deliberately
Yes.
lowering the educational system so we would have a dumbed-down public. Why would they do this?
Well,
What's your rationale for this?
Well, because they want workers. They want worker bees. They don't want intelligent people, who will, if you know what's going on, you might want to do something about it. They don't want individualists. They want collectivists. They want people that can be dictated to, moved around on the slavery, basically. Yeah. It is definitely the plan, and it will put all of us worldwide under the umbrella of the, they'll call it school district, lifelong, with all the services, health services, transportation, take grandma to see the leaves in the autumn, workforce training, leisure, arts and all will be under the umbrella of the school district. The community school, they call it. This is not new. It's been planned ever since the beginning of the last century, funded by the Mott Foundation. Now all the other foundations are into it too. Now this is the long-term plan that very little people know about. You can see one block of it, parents know, with school-based clinics. That gives you a good idea.
Now, if I could ask you, when you were in the Department of Education, what was the biggest piece of evidence you found proving everything that you're talking about now?
Well, when Ronald Reagan, they had this, what was it called? Private Sector Initiative. The White House Private Sector Initiative. I went over there and I said, what are you doing? It looks like you're merging the public and private sector. And I said, isn't that corporate fascism? And they said, I don't think anybody looks at it that way. Well, that was it. Yeah. That was, under Reagan, the system broke. That was Cap Weinberger, Mad Meese. Together, they decided to change America. The same thing Carnegie Corporation called for in 1934. And we can trace it all the way through to right now. Mark Tucker, the school to work agenda, and the school choice agenda. Without it, they cannot put this in because they need every single heartbeat on this planet.
So you're telling me the Carnegie Foundation and other elites are involved in influencing our U.S. Educational system in order to dumb us down. Now, the Carnegie Foundation is known to many people outside who don't know of many things as this great organization that helps and does everything else. But what is the true agenda of these elites and people like the Carnegie families and the Rockefeller families?
Right from the beginning. They have really, well, you can go all the way back to the 1700s. With Adam Weishaupt and the Illuminati, and then Karl Marx in 1848 with copied Weishaupt's work. And then you go to the order at Yale, too. I have the document out of Phi Delta Kappa, how they would change education to performance-based. Now, they couldn't get away with that with the white community. The good, our schools. The whites would have all said, go away. But they knew they could use the minorities, so they did. And they started that with mastery learning in Chicago, and half of the inner city kids in the freshman class dropped out. And even Education Week said, which is a professional journal, they called it a human tragedy of enormous proportions. But that didn't stop them from using this non-competitive individual education plan, Skinnerian, dumbed-down curriculum, because they had to perfect it over a period of 30 years with the minorities in order to move it to all of us, which is what they're putting in all the schools now. James Block, one of the leading honchos in the mastery learning Skinner direct instruction movement, he said, I quote, I don't know of a single inner city school that has not experimented with mastery learning. That's the thing that took all the Chicago kids down. They had to have an excuse to break the system down and to change it. And they used, integration first. And then Bloom's Chicago Mastery Learning. And if it had been a disaster, why did they continue using it in every inner city school? And where they had evaluation of the Skinner method in the inner city, it would say the kids may not have learned to read better, But we did do a lot of restructuring in the school system, which was what they were looking for. They couldn't have cared less about the minorities going down the tubes. Zero.
My last question is, going through the whole educational system, what's one important thing that was taken away and replaced with that you think is most detrimental to the learning of our youth?
Individualism. The importance of the individual and thinking, and I think that basically was it. Everything, it was more cooperative learning. The whole plan was a collectivist education system. A friend of mine, brilliant Australian, she was at a conference of community educators in the 70s, and all these guys and gals, and it was on community education. We killed it in Maine in the 70s, which is this lifelong learning stuff under the umbrella of school. Lifelong, I mean, unbelievable. So one of the educators says to the guy, "What is this you're talking about, community ed?" And he said, "It's the Chinese communist system." No more comment, huh?
Charlotte Isby, the links to your website are in the description. It's an honor and pleasure being able to talk to you. Thank you so much for all your brave work.
Well,
appreciate that very much.
I wish that I had a different message, but you know, you can't change things. You can't change things unless you know what they are. How do you fight something if you don't know what you're fighting?
Did you know that women have a 160% chance of being raped while attending a college or university? If you're watching this and you're a man, then you're a rapist. It's important to know how to conduct yourself on a university campus as to prevent others from feeling offended by your existence. Here are some friendly tips. Learn consent. No means no. Maybe means no. Yes definitely means no. Only discuss approved topics. This would include feminism, socialism, and Marxism. Any other discussion topics not mentioned may be considered offensive and could result in disciplinary action. Understand privilege. It is impossible to discriminate against women and minorities because discrimination equals power plus privilege divided by the square root of the population of France, which means even if you're a homeless white male, your privilege is so great it cannot even be properly measured. Now, you may notice our overuse of exaggerated statistics and stats used out of context. Such examples would include the 77-cent wage gap and the 1 in 5 rape statistic. If you question these figures at any time on a university campus, online, or within 50 meters of a public beach, you will be expelled and forever referred to as a rape apologist. If a woman at any time brings forward a rape claim against you, it will be believed without question. You will be expelled immediately and are not entitled to any form of due processing. Furthermore, our university professors will be among those in the lynch mob calling for you to be publicly executed on the street. We reserve the right to still call this a rape culture. If you're a straight white male that is still enrolled in one of our programs after watching this, please consider killing yourself immediately before your actions oppress someone we actually care about. Thank you, and enjoy your stay at every university in North America.